All right. Welcome to this Q&A, guys. And obviously we appreciate you. We're grateful that you've taken the time to come here and have some of your questions answered. Obviously, there's a lot of people here, so there must be a lot of questions. Until I ask in a second, does anybody have any questions? And everybody's going to be like, oh, I don't have any questions. So what we're going to start with is we're going to open up with, if you do have any specific questions, look, every question's a good question. I'm a big believer in, to find the information out, you have to ask questions. And majority of the time, if people don't ask, or somebody has a question, quite often, you might be thinking it's a question, oh, it's dumb, it's not relevant, but there might be someone else that actually has that same question. So don't be scared to, I guess, ask these questions, put them in the chat, okay, and we can filter through them, okay, and give you guys a resourceful answer, okay. That's the whole agenda for these calls. We're going to do these calls on a regular basis. They're going to be something that you can utilize in your business to make sure that the people are having their questions answered, because we don't want things slipping through the cracks. We don't want the wrong information being pushed out. Okay, so these are Q&A based presentation or Q&A based calls. Okay, and they're obviously for people that are in 7K and people that are kind of on the fence and want a couple of their questions maybe answered. So first and foremost, obviously, I'm going to introduce myself, a little bit about my background, how I got involved with 7K, and then I'll pass it over to Sammy. So basically, I started 18 months, nearly 2 years now, actually, in 7K. I was originally living in Perth, and I was a coach for 10 years. So this type of environment is not abnormal for me. I love working with people. Communication, as I'd say, is the key to success, and it's transferable. So in the last 10 years, so I've moved out of the coaching space, and now obviously I've moved to New Zealand. This business has given me the ability to work from home. I have the flexibility that I want. I choose my workplace. Right now I'm at the humble abode. This is where I grew up. It's amazing. It's peaceful. It's quiet. There's nobody disturbing me except my dad, who's in the background. But I'm excited, guys. I'm excited to obviously help you work through your questions. And I'll pass it over to Sammy. She'll give you a bit of a background, then we'll kick off, eh?
Awesome. Thanks, Cole. Well, listen, I'm Sammy. Some of you guys know me. I've been with 7K for maybe 9 months or something, and I sat on the fence for a long time before I joined, but then also once I did join, because I just wasn't sure how to step into motion. Cole, could you just there's a couple of people in the waiting room just while I'm doing that?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's really nice to I've had people like Haley and Cole that I can reach directly to ask questions to, and they've been so fantastic. But not everybody has those direct people that they can ask questions to. So I reached out to Cole, and I thought we should run something like a Q&A like this, as a one-off. I thought what a great thing to run even more regularly for people, because I know so many people have got burning questions when it comes to 7K. I know there are a few moving parts when it comes to this business as well, and sometimes that can stop people from joining. And sometimes once people join, they can sort of sit with this bit of attrition because they're not quite sure where to go. So I thought it'd be really powerful for us to run these semi-regular live Q&A sessions, and mostly for people who perhaps are sitting on the fence. I know a lot of people who want to join the business, but they might have a burning question, and it might be a little seemingly silly question, or it might be a really big thing that's a block for them, that they don't quite understand how the business works, or they've got a question about silver or numismatics or collectibles, or how to even start. They might be new to the idea of network marketing, and they're not sure, is it a business that they can leverage as a customer? Whatever those questions are, there's so much in this space that we're not taught. There's so much in this space that is new for people. We've got someone in the waiting room. If you can just let Stefan in, please, Cole.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people get stuck in their blocks, and they end up having this attrition, and it's easier to do nothing than it is to kind of make that step forward. So I wanted to make this easy, and I wanted to create like a really, a safe container where people can ask questions, and they might be seemingly silly questions, but like we said, there's no such thing as a small question or a silly question. If that's what's burning on your mind, or that's what's stopping you from joining 7K or starting to, share 7K, then let us answer them, to the best of our ability and through our experience as well. We've got some amazing sort of mastermind people on this call as well, who I'm sure could also assist us. But certainly between Cole and I feel like we have enough understanding of this business to help people and to help them get started. It's one of those businesses that everyone who starts 7K wish they started earlier. I don't know anyone who's not said that. And, we always say in terms of, setting yourself up with like a long-term wealth accumulation strategy, you'd rather be, a year too early than a day too late. So it's one of those things that if we can assist you in getting started, taking that next step and feeling confident to do so, then that's a great way for us to, be of service to our community. So that's what this call today is about. I know we've got certainly some existing 7K members here who might have some questions, and perhaps that some people that they're connecting with have that they might like us to answer on their behalf, or they might have some questions if they're new to the business, what's my next step? Or people who are sitting on the fence, who perhaps have watched some information about 7K, they've been introduced to it, they might have had a couple of conversations with someone about it, but they might have one or two more burning questions before they feel confident to start. Or they might not know, which coin do I get? Where do I start? What membership? What do I do from there? So we really want to allow a space for people to ask those questions. So like Cole said, if you've got any burning questions, I know I can see someone's got their hand up, but if you've got any questions in the chat as well, perhaps if we can pop them in the chat, and that might be an opportunity for us to kind of filter them and answer them appropriately. Otherwise, if anyone does want to pop their hand up, we can do that. I think the chat's really the best way for now. And if people don't have any questions, then I thought Cole and I might address some, I guess, probably frequently asked questions, because I know, in our experience, you would have been asked a lot of questions, Cole. And in my experience in these sorts of businesses, you tend to get asked the same, 5 or 10 questions over and over. So, I guess we know what the key questions people tend to come with.
Well, I want to open this can of worms.
Sure.
Since obviously everybody's going to kind of sit on the fence with the whole questions. There's a lot of questions that I get asked on a regular basis, and one of the main things is why 7K and why now? And that's quite a simple answer. I mean, I could go deep with answering this question, but right now we're in an interesting time in the economy, and I don't know if you guys can feel it or you can see it. But everything else is starting to fall when something like a business like this is stable, because of the product range, what we operate in, gold and silver. Gold and silver, obviously we know that gold is a safe haven. Gold is a store of value, and it's a place that the wealthy turn to in times of crisis, economic crisis, and when the economy is looking pretty turmoil. And the other reason really is, why would you not want to do business with the number 1 and the number 7 asset in the world? To me, that just makes sense. So I've worked with a lot of products over the years, and what I've learned is people dealing with these products, and they've got skin creams, and we've all done it, right? Most people in network marketing have done this. Skin creams, powders, lotions, potions, and a lot of the time is that the mentality is, my product is better than yours, my comp plan's better than yours. We don't have that with 7K. There's no comparison. It's not about weighing up the size of what's better, okay? It's looking at the problems in the world right now and how we can provide a solution. And that's really the key. Why 7K? Why now? I get a lot of people come to me. Another question I get, and I'm going to come to the questions that are coming into the chat. Guys, I'm just kind of opening the can of worms here a little bit, but the main thing that I get is, why would I buy from 7K or yourself and not from somewhere else like the Mint or, the random guy down the road, right? So I get this question a lot, and the answer to the question is really another question. So a lot of the time people say they're going to do things, but they don't do it. And that's just facts. That's facts. Life gets in the way. The kids, have got school or something. Things get in the way, right? And people, because the way we are in society, we're habitual creatures, good and bad. We have bad habits, good habits, right? And the facts are that people say they're going to do it, but they don't do it. Okay, so 7K fixes this problem, right? Because they automate the process of this actually happening, and it happens on autopilot. But like your, like your electricity bill or whatever it might be. But except this is actually what you're doing is transferring your wealth from declining dollars into appreciating assets. So if you look at it that way, what's actually happening is you're switching your habits. And I say this to a lot of people. I say, like, the focus is what we're doing is actually saving in silver. That's the terminology I like to use, saving in silver. People are going to save regardless, but instead of actually purchasing something or let's say, like purchasing something or spending, okay, treating it as an expense, what we're doing is transferring our wealth. And that's the best way to explain. I'm just watching some questions come through the chat now. That might be Sammy. But all in all, the focus really is a smart wealth accumulation strategy. Smart long-term wealth accumulation strategy. That's how I sum up 7K. So guys, don't be scared to ask any questions or anything surrounding.
So I'm going to read out
7K.
some questions for you, Cole. We've had a couple.
All right, sounds good.
So Steph asked, why don't I just buy from the mint? And I think you partially covered that. And I think that's a really, really common one. A lot of people ask that, like you say. And I think for me as well, often there's minimums. If you're going to buy from the mint, you might need $5,000 or, a decent amount to make it worth your while. Whereas what 7K really offers, like you say, Cole, is that automated monthly process where you can just simply purchase, small amounts, fractional amounts, either on your auto saver or through the Sound Money wallet every single month. And the more I've learned about the Sound Money wallet, the more I realize how I actually transfer $10 into gold every single week in my Sound Money wallet. It's not much, but it accumulates over time. I put larger amounts into my silver balance. And I've actually bought some silver eagles as well, which I was going to explain to you guys in the Sound Money wallet. But you can actually just put a small amount every single month, just small fractional amounts into silver and gold, and allow them to accumulate. So I think part of 7K's philosophy is really to allow the little guys to just slowly accumulate their wealth and slowly build their wealth, slowly save in silver. They don't need to go to the mint and buy large amounts. They don't need to have minimums to get the best prices and things like that as well. So they have no minimums or maximums, which means you get the best price regardless of whether you're buying small amounts of silver and gold or large amounts of silver and gold as well.
I think just to add to that as well, I just want to add to that. Based on the conversations I've had with that question, generally what I, like I said, there's always going to be a question that I do ask after they say that. And generally what happens is I'll ask them, well, that's fine, right? If people had made up their mind, they're made up their mind, right? This is what they want to do. But this is how I attack that scenario, okay? This is just basically them saying, no, not now, but maybe later. Because a lot of the time they don't actually take action on going to the mint because, like I said, life gets in the way. So what I do is ask them a question of, well, if we revisit the scenario, okay, in 2 to 3 months' time, what position will you be in then? So instead of, and just to see if they've actually taken action. And I can tell you that I will follow up with them. I will come back to that conversation, and 95% of the time, you can take a guess, have a stab at what they've done. That much, right? So generally speaking, people use it as an excuse. And obviously their priorities might change. It might not be an excuse. Their priorities might change and their focuses might change. But what we do, right, is we help remind them of the importance of transferring your wealth with what's happening right now. So that's how I kind of attack that situation. And a lot of people attack it differently, like obviously what Sammy said. You can talk about the features and the benefits of what we have with 7K. But generally, most people don't really know those things. And a lot of the time, they're already pushing it back and saying, oh, I don't really want to know, right? I just want to know how I can get it easy and now. And we can show them. So like for instance, here's a scenario for you guys. Like when we start people, generally we open up the Sound Money wallet and we show them how easy it is. This is how easy you can buy $10 worth of gold. This is how easy you can transfer from cash to silver with a click of a button, no fees. Okay. Can you do that at the mint? No. Okay. So that's basically showing them, giving them a visual of what it actually looks like. And that's what wows people. That's what brings people in, and people actually understand the power of the technology. And as you guys know, the Sound Money wallet, I love the Sound Money wallet. It's just so powerful. It's a powerful technology. But I hope that answered your question, Steph. And it's one that I do get a lot of. And don't be familiar if you have this question come across your desk. So guys, if you're not putting down notes now, probably a good idea. Okay, because the only way to get better at answering these questions is to have these questions asked. Right? It's the best way to get better at something. Okay, you get better, you refine it over time. And I will visit that obviously that conversation of the mint now before we move on to the next question. But a lot of people, for instance, here's a scenario. So when Hayley first started out with me, she said, "Cole, it's all right. I've already got gold and silver." And initially I thought, well, I didn't know much about the gold and silver space. I didn't know you could be well diversified in the gold and silver space alone, in the precious metal space alone, because, I hadn't done the education. But I got better at answering that question when I started diving into the education, and I learned more about the different aspects of the precious metal space. And one of the biggest things that Hayley said to me, she said, "Cole, look, I've already got gold and silver. I got this gold and silver bullion." I say, "Well, Hayley, why did you pick bullion?" She said, "Well, that's it, right? There's only bullion in there." So her answer was, I basically went to the mint. I knew it was a good idea, right? But I didn't understand that I could do it in a multitude of different ways. I didn't understand that I could become diversified. So our job is to educate that you can be diversified in the space. Now, Hayley, since you're on here, actually, I might get you to unmute if you're feeling all right, and just elaborate on that story, because I think it's a good story and I think it'll help people.
Yeah, I guess you were sharing all the pretty coins with me and I didn't understand why I needed them. I thought having gold and silver meant having gold and silver. I transitioned. At the time, the position that I was in, I had money in the bank and I didn't want it in the bank, so I transferred it. But and I think sometimes, like, I try and put myself in people's position when they do see us sharing the numismatic coins, and people might be thinking, why do I need them? And it's just a different strategy. People don't know that there are different strategies, not just in gold and silver, but, across different financial markets that the wealthy use, that I feel, now that I know more, they don't want us to know these things. They want us to buy bullion, where I look at bullion and it's heavily manipulated. I know that now. So, I think a lot of people aren't educated and they look at gold and silver and they don't see the price fluctuating that much. So they don't think it's that much of a good investment, from my experience. Whereas when we get into the collectible space, and we're driving the supply and the demand of these, so the price, it's different. It's a different strategy. So I don't know, does that help with what kind of?
Totally. And the other, and
yeah.
I want you to share, obviously we've talked about this before on other calls, but since I've got you on, and I won't hold you up too much longer or steal too much of Sammy's spotlight. The other thing I wanted to touch on was the process of you and your husband taking your gold and silver to the mint and exchanging it for cash. Can you run over that liquidation process for us?
Yeah, that was really powerful. So we'd been buying gold and silver regularly for a couple of years, but we hadn't actually. You can probably hear my washing machine. Sorry, I've got my door open, but we actually hadn't reversed engineered it, and we had a lot of rain. Oh, I think it was at the start of the year or something, and my husband thought, oh, I might just go and sell, 1 kilo of silver and an ounce of gold and get some cash flow, just so that's that's what we'd done it for, rather than keeping it in the bank. Our gold and silver was our bank. And
Insurance. Your
insurance, our insurance. And for him going through the whole process, he took 2 of the kids in as well, and he thought they'd be looking at it. He goes, she wasn't even phased. She just grabbed the gold and silver, just do you want cash, do you want it in your bank account, I don't know, do you want it attached to your ABN or something like that? And he's like, oh, cash, thanks. But for our kids, they've been hearing us talk about gold and silver for the last 2 years, but maybe not fully understanding it. But one of my daughters said to him, like, oh, because an ounce of gold, it's quite heavy, but it's small. A kilo of silver, a bullion bar is much bigger. But one of my daughters said, oh, Dad, what do you think you're going to get for that? Do you think you maybe get a couple of $100? And so to her surprise, when the teller started counting out, all these $100 notes, she was like, oh, like the penny just finally dropped for her. It's like, oh, that's why you get into gold. That's why you talk a lot about gold and silver. But yeah, the whole process was just empowering and just so normal. But most people go to the bank to get their cash out, and my husband, he went through wanting to get some cash out through COVID, and he was treated like a criminal for getting money out of the bank. And so from that experience to then changing how we operate and do things, it was nice. And I think people just need to reverse engineer it and experience it for themselves, because it is unknown to most people. People haven't done the transactions with gold and silver.
I think that's important to understand, and we get that question a lot. How does the liquidation process work? And there's many different ways of doing it, but Hayley's just explained one, and I wanted to actually utilize that case study because I think it's important. And people ask, well, have you done it, Cole? And I actually haven't liquidated. I don't focus on liquidation. I'm all about accumulation. Okay, I don't believe in selling assets, but sometimes in times of hardship, you might need to, right? And knowing that, and I actually had a conversation earlier with my dad just before actually about, we've got a lot of farmland here in New Zealand, but the liquidation process is a lot of rules, regulations, legislations that you need to go through to liquidate farmland, to liquidate that type of asset class. Whereas gold and silver, right, is easy to liquidate, right? And even easier with the Sound Money wallet. So I wanted to run over that. Is there any other question? Maybe you can read to me, Sammy. I left school too early. I'm not very good at reading. Maybe you can read to me and I'll answer the question.
We've got some good questions. Just something I wanted to add as well, and I say this a lot to my people, so some of you may have heard this before. And I love this when I first heard this, and it really stuck with me. I think it's such a great way to explain, I guess, what 7K offers as well. Because in 7K you can buy, your eagles, and you can buy, your silver coins and things, but you can also get the numismatic coins. And when I first heard about this idea of having both a defensive and an offensive strategy, it's like like we were saying, like diversifying within the metals space. It's not just buying bullion and you're done. It's like having different ways, different strategies within the metal space and diversifying there. So I always call things like your bullion is like a defensive strategy, like it's going to hold its value, but it's a long-term strategy. Like you say, it's saving in silver, sure. And over time, over history, yes, the value of silver and gold has always risen, particularly over tough economic times. But you're not going to make, fast, you're not going to 10x your bullion kind of thing overnight. But it's a strong defensive strategy. It will maintain your wealth and it will hold your wealth in a really powerful way, like the way Hayley and Jono do with their money, using it as their bank. But then if you want to have an offensive strategy, now, if you play sport, you need to have a strong defense and a strong offense to play the game, right? If you're going to play the metals game, You want a bit of both. So it's the offensive strategy, which is where the numismatics come in, which is the collectibles. And so obviously 7K offers both. So you can really diversify your metal strategy. And it's these numismatics that, like Hayley said, they're driven by market demands. They're driven by this massive numismatic community that I didn't even know existed until I joined 7K. If you look at, some of the wider Facebook groups and, particularly in the States, and if you see how quickly those coin drops disappear and you see the demand for these types of coins and you see the equity in a lot of the coins. So sometimes when you buy them, they've already gone up. I had my coin arrived at my door, 5 days after it was sent from the States. It was already up $26 in value in equity. So that's what we call this offensive strategy, where you're buying things that actually have the potential to have huge wealth increases, huge value increases. And so when you diversify across those two different markets, you're really spreading your risk and your diversification in metals as well. So that was sort of new for me and different for people to understand. And I think people do get stuck in this idea of just buying silver and gold, just buying bullion. But the coins really add that whole extra kind of additional kind of value to it, and a bit of fun as well. Like that collectible space is fun, and we want to kind of have some joy in our lives and a bit of the collecting and the excitement with the art and things like that. But yeah, it's genuinely a good approach, and I think a strong strategy when it comes to metals as well. So I just wanted to add that.
What's the saying? Bullion is boring. So, we just obviously have fun with this business as well. There's that aspect as well. I feel that there's a lot of seriousness going on in the world right now. And it's just nice to be able to work with something that, doesn't feel like you have to push people in. This is something where, people are here anyway. The right people will come to the right places at the right time. And, if you guys are here with questions, then you're the right people. Because you got to ask the right question, right, to get the answers. I'm just going to answer this question here regarding the Sound Money wallet. Is there enough inventory to back the transaction rate? Well, basically, with 7K, what they do is they have an auditing process that happens they actually do it on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they release the data. I think it may be on a monthly basis. But what they do, and we found this out the other day, was yes, they have more than enough. They always say 10 to 20% more. Whereas a lot of companies, we found out that a lot of companies actually work off, lesser amounts, so like 70, 80%. Okay. And they don't want to be in that situation. If everybody was to liquidate everything they have in the Sound Money wallet now, they'd have more than enough to cover. Now, the bottom line, and what I see Ryan put this question in here, so I'm addressing that. In terms of the transaction rate, so sending gold and silver from person to person, or however you want to do it, you can transact member to member, obviously, no fees. Okay. Now, what happens with that process is when you do send your gold and silver from member to member, what happens is they actually take that gold or that silver and they actually put it in a segregated vault space. Okay, that's allocated to you as a member. Okay, and it obviously reflects in the Sound Money wallet. Okay, and they have a ledgering process that backs up all the Sound Money wallets with all the members. Okay, in 7K, so it tracks everything in terms of the inventory and what needs to be on hand. Okay, so if we were to have like a power outage, or the power, however you want to look at it, okay, or the internet went down, which there's some crazy stuff happening in the world, you just never know. So say if the internet went down, they'd always have that ledger back. Okay, so it would always be backed up. Okay, they know. And I actually found that they actually have their own kind of blockchain setup. I didn't know that, but they have some sort of blockchain setup. I don't know the deeper details of that. But yeah, I'll be interested to find out. And the security of Sound Money wallet is next level as well. They showed us the vaulting space 2 weeks ago. Just one of them. They're actually introducing 2 more vaults, I think, in the coming future. They haven't disclosed where those will be, obviously, for security reasons. But I hope that answered your question, Ryan, and whoever else might have had that question. Do you want to fire some more questions through to me, Sammy? Are you muted?
Unmute myself. Yep. So this is a question around gold and silver.
Is
And
it-
like I said, you got me? Yeah. And I think it's
Yeah.
good because, like I said, you know, we're not taught much about silver and gold and stuff. So these are genuine questions. I think really important that, you know, we're all learning as we go. I know it's been a big learning curve for me. It's been a lot of fun. But I've got a question regarding the value and price of gold and silver and the market. The question says, my understanding is that the value isn't based on the dollars and more of the availability of it and interest. I've been asked if the dollar crashes, particularly because we buy in the US, how will this affect it? How will it affect the value of silver and gold? I hope that makes sense.
Good question.
Yeah.
Right. So good question.
That's to you, Cole.
Let's just wind back the clock a little bit and look at actually everything that's valued in today's society is valued against something that's unstable anyway. So the US dollar is not backed by anything, right? Because they cut the gold standard. If you guys have digged into the training already, you'd know all this.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Monday, the 15th of August was the 51st anniversary of the tethering of the gold standard. And they say every fiat currency lasts about 50 years, or a year over.
Well, there
Exactly.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Exactly.
So basically what I'm saying is everything is backed against the US dollar. Well, not backed, but I guess directly correlated against. Okay. So for instance, gold's value or perceived value is against the US dollar. Now, how I look at this scenario, okay, no matter how I look at it in like I'm stacking my wealth in ounces. I don't worry about the US dollar because the US dollar is out of our control. Okay. What's in our control, what's in my reality is I'm 1 ounce or one asset is one asset. Okay. So how you value it, okay, is based upon, I guess, what you value in life, right? So I don't value owning a whole heap of US dollars because I know, okay, US dollars are, you know, it's not controllable. We can't control that. Okay, it's a government-based currency. Whereas gold and silver, if we have it in our physical possession, really what determines the value is really our own belief system. But the value of gold and silver is undiscovered. If you guys saw, there was a recent event that happened where the price of nickel skyrocketed. They had to close all trading, okay? And why they did that is because they were trying to keep control of the price. Okay, this is what they do in the market. They manipulate the price because of its industrial use case. When you look at silver, okay, so for instance, when you look at silver, when you look at copper, is another one. Okay, they try to keep the value down because of its industrial use case and its ability to actually, you know, support a lot of things that need to keep the world turning. In terms of like, it's one of the biggest, silver is one of the biggest energy conductors in the world. So what happens if that skyrockets? They don't want that to happen. Okay, the big wealthy I guess the big wealthy institutions and governments of they don't want that to go up, including people like Elon Musk. Okay, they want to keep the price low. Okay, so when we look at gold, the difference between gold and silver. I know this is a long-winded answer, but this is basically how I answer this question. So the difference between silver, okay, and gold is one has more industrial use case than the other. Okay, one is a necessity at the moment. Okay, so they're not going to want to pay more for it. They want to keep the price low, okay, because of its usability. Okay, and use case is everything. Now with gold, gold is a store of value. Okay, and if anything, it's more of a luxury. Okay, if you say to somebody, "Oh, I've got gold," they're going to say, "Well, what are you going to use it for?" You know, whereas silver actually has usability. Okay, that's what gives it its true value. Okay, that's why I'm so bullish on silver. Even copper now, I've been looking at copper, I've been going, oh, copper, it's going up,
Mhm.
been going up, it's getting more scarce. The more the asset gets scarce, the more the value it will drive. It'll drive the value. And obviously, you know, as they mine more silver, copper, all these sort of things, okay, and people gain more interest, okay, the asset gets more scarce, and that's what drives the market value. So,
Carl,
yeah,
Can
what's
I
up?
just, can I
Yep.
just add something else with what you said there?
Yep.
Also, regarding the US dollar, I was actually reading this a while ago on Wall Street. And if you watch the US dollar, when the US dollar starts depreciating or going down in value with our exchange rate, you will see that the price of gold will go up because all the countries have tied to the US dollar for trading purposes, right? And that none of them are backed by gold, right? So when the US dollar goes down, and that's why you've got a couple of these large countries that are trying to destabilize the US dollar, but their currency is backed by gold, and they want to take out the US dollar to knock out the market. And one of the things that I tell people that when they ask about why should I have rounds and bullion and collectibles? I said, there's three strategies there. It's not just an offensive and a defensive. The rounds are for immediate use. Should the dollar crash, our dollars crash, and we don't have $1 million to go and buy a loaf of bread, guess what? You have got rounds that you can use for immediate purchases to put food on your table, pay your rent, and so forth, so you can still survive. The second step is bullion, which is your medium term for investment. And then you've got your collectibles, which are your long term. So, there's a whole heap of this which people don't realize. And one of the other things is people don't understand that money and currency are two different definitions. They're not the same thing. If you look up on Wall Street, they've got a definition that explains what money is and what currency is. One is a government promissory note. I can't remember off the top of my head which one's which. And one is physical exchange of for purchases of goods and services.
Exactly right. And thanks for that input, Anna.
Not a problem.
I think that, that summarizes for people, what the value really is. And just to clear that up, so the currency is what you're talking about. The currency is obviously government-backed money that's pushed by force, basically. Okay, and then obviously the real value, tangible, physical, real money is gold and silver. Okay, and it comes in many different, like you're saying, it comes in many different asset classes. Okay, and they all have different use cases. Collectibles, long term. Okay, and then you got your bullion, midterm, and then you got your right now. So, for instance, a Sal Money Wallet, we get the Silver Eagles. Okay, the Silver Eagles now, silver and gold eagles, are recognized globally as a global currency. If we have an economic crisis and the whole economy shuts down, we will have gold and silver eagles. So I hope that answers that question, because I know that a lot of people go, well, how am I going to use this gold and silver to purchase goods and services? Well, the fast answer is you can. It's a fast answer. Right, Sammy, any other questions there?
Excellent. We have Janice actually asked, can you buy collectibles from the mint?
Can you buy collectibles from the mint? Yes. Yes, so 7K, right, this is the difference. So 7K does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. Okay, the big problem that we have, can you just let that person in, Sammy, that's in the waiting room, please? Awesome. The biggest problem that people have is they don't know what to buy. So they lack the education and knowledge on what to actually purchase. So where they go into the mint and they go, oh, I've got no idea what I'm doing here, but I'm just here to buy something. Somebody sells something to me, right? So they go to the mint and they don't know what to buy. So what 7K does is they actually have professional buyers that go out to all the mints around the world okay, including some of the sovereign mints as well. And they purchase the things that they feel long-term will appreciate in value. So they do all the hard work for us, okay? They bring it back to our 7K selected area or the autosaver, for example. Some of them, they obviously, they mint and design themselves, working with third-party, entities. But what they do is they bring it back into the back office and they give it to us at a discounted rate. Okay. Now we have a second-hand marketplace where we can upload our collectibles with Stack and Sell, right? We have the Stack component here in Australia. I'm going to answer another question that I saw in there before in terms of actually selling. Okay, where do I sell? Okay, so we can stack and sell. Okay, and we can see our inventory grow. We can see our asset portfolio grow and where we sit from a position of equity. Now, selling the actual product, we can value the product, okay, and then we would on sell it in either in our community, because there is a demand. If there's equity in the coin, there's a demand. There's people that want that coin, okay, because it's a collector's item. There's like a set, and don't ask me why, but when I first started this, I didn't think I'd be somebody that enjoyed collecting, design coins, but here we are now. All right, and there's 25 people on this Zoom, so that answers that question. So the biggest problem that people have is they don't know what to buy. 7K solves that problem. Okay, it brings all of the coins or the assets to your door, okay, to you, okay, and then you select what you want to purchase.
Beautiful, Cole. And a couple of people have just said here in the comments that Hayley says she hasn't found any graded coins at Gold Bullion Australia or Perth Mint, and Daniela said the Perth Mint collectibles aren't graded. So that's
there you go. There you go. Even better. Yeah. So I'm not a big visitor of the mint anyway. Some of the stuff that I don't, I won't say on the Zoom, but I don't believe in some of the stuff or what they're backed by. But what I will say is that last time I looked in their online store, they don't stock Silver Eagle and Gold Eagles. The Silver and Gold Eagles is scarce. Okay, like we have them in the Sal Money wallet, obviously, and we get the graded ones. I think Sammy held one up before, the MS70.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think this is something that we can touch on.
These are the actual Eagles as well. Just the one Eagle.
So that's just the ungraded, obviously. Now with the graded MS70s, okay, a lot of people ask, why is there price difference, okay, between something that's not graded and non-graded? Think about it this way. So it's the difference between something that's gone through a stringent process to pretty much say that it's perfect condition. Perfect condition, it's encapsulated, okay? So obviously they've got to pay people to do this process. It's not like, oh, that coin looks good, that coin looks good. They magnify it. I think it's down to like, I can't remember the magnification. It's actually in the training. So, side note, guys, watch the training. I can't remember the exact magnification, but they magnify it down and they, see if there's any imperfections on the coin. Obviously, then it gets encapsulated and it gets obviously graded as, from 1 to 70. MS70 is the highest grade. You also have PF70 and proof coins. Okay, you have antique coins. There's lots of different graded or grades, but a lot of this is covered in the training. Okay, this is where we have been educated. Okay, I had no idea about graded coins and stuff before I started, and neither did Hayley, and neither did Sammy, and a lot of people on here we didn't have access to this high quality information, and now we do. And now what we're doing is trying to pass it on to you.
Oh, can I just add?
Yep.
10 to 30 times magnification.
There you go.
So for the graded coins, and I just wanted to add to something that come to mind. I don't think Richard's on the call, but he's picked up something this week that you know, just the price that we get our coins from 7K, you know, dealer direct pricing and all that jazz. And then, you know, soon after, because we are creating that supply and demand, often they go to stack and sell in the secondary market and they're already in equity. Richard, as we know, he's not on here. I can't see him. He's probably working, but you know, he's just loving these coins. But they quite often do a vault clean out, which it looks like they've done this week. They've listed some items in 7K selected that you can buy now for the original price that they released them at. They're already in equity on the secondary market. So Richard has been going and you know, snapping those up. You know, 7K, they could sell them for a higher price to what, you know, they're being sold on stack and sell and outside on eBay and different things. But, you know, they give us a head start, which is great. I just wanted to add that.
So the other thing to add as well is people don't understand that, like, when we get our autosaver coin, say you've set up your autosaver and you set it up on the animal series, right? Now, if you get sent out something like the Montana butterfly, that you pay $139 for that autosaver, right? That coin is valued at around, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's $800 on the secondhand marketplace.
No, I've seen it for over $1,000 US.
Well,
I think it's 1,200 US for the Montana butterfly. I think I did look at it a little while ago. I don't think they minted as many either. It was one of the earlier ones. I think there was only 2,000 minted or something like that. So,
but you got to remember that this operates on random.
Yeah.
So like this, it just comes out on random, and you don't know what you're going to get. You could strike gold. No pun intended.
Yeah, I saw the Montana moth for 1,389 last week.
Well, it's gone up again. And
Oh, it gives me shivers.
can I also add there? I mean, that's you know what Haley was saying. You know, 7K in the offering their vault clear out at those cheaper prices at the original prices. That's all part of having the membership with 7K. So when you're a member of a company, when you have that annual membership, it gives you all those specials, you know. So when you join 7K, you join with your membership. And that's what allows us to have all of these special prices, all of these exclusive coin drops for members only. We get in early with all of their new, anything new that they release. And that's part of, like any company, having an exclusive membership allows all those perks, I guess, as well. So, you know, that's why we pay that membership, is so that they do give us at those dealer direct prices. They do give us at those original prices, knowing full well that they could actually list them at a higher price on a different market and get that money. But that's what they do for 7K members. So that's why we have that membership, as well as, we purchase our autosaver and things too.
Also, another thing too is that if you've got people that just want to be customers, and there may be a few on this line who haven't made that final decision, I suggest go and grab a membership and figure out what you're going to do with it later. Because the thing is, as a customer, not having the membership, right, you will be paying at least a 30% increment. I looked at this the other day. I went to my website as a customer and I saw the coin, and then I went out and logged in as me and saw that there was a 30% difference. So for that 30% difference of coins that you want to buy as a customer, but you don't want to pay the membership, well, guess what? You're missing out on all the benefits that 7K offers, even though a lot of those benefits are not for us here, but there are other things in there that are for us here. And it will eventually come to, we'd be able to use everything that they're advertising in the US and Canada. But mind you, just think of it. Your investment is actually 30% better off purchasing it as a member instead of as a customer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I want to touch on something there as well that I think a lot of people, I guess they just overlook. Now, obviously, there are lots of benefits, but there's also some that get missed. And this is what Anna's saying, is when you log in as a guest, okay, and you go to purchase, obviously there's a premium that's put on top, okay, because you're not a member. Okay, you can get them obviously at a cheaper value. if you're obviously a member. So there's lots of incentives for being a member. Also, being a member, okay, when you're on the autosaver program, there's a few things that get missed that I actually discovered the other day. One that I completely forgot about. I knew when I started, but I completely forgot about, and I think that's valid that I do share this. So when you actually purchase your membership, you get started, you start on the autosaver. Okay, every time your autosaver goes through on a month-by-month basis, they actually reward you in 2 ways. Okay, the first way is they give you what's called personal volume, okay, which is points that actually go into your business, which actually lead to the dollars. Okay, and that's 15 points. I think it is. I need to double check these numbers. Don't quote me. Okay, and then you also get loyalty points for being on the autosaver as well, and it's 30 loyalty points. Now the loyalty points add up, okay, over time for you being, okay, a valued customer. This is just a customer. If you're not building the business, you get these loyalty points. They build up, okay, and they accumulate. And there's a section in the back office that allows you to actually purchase, okay, silver with your loyalty points just for being a valued customer. Okay, so in other words, they're giving you dollars back in your pocket, okay, for being with us and having a membership for 7K. So I thought it was valid to add that.
Beautiful. And I don't think the Mint does that, do they?
Exactly, yeah. Exactly.
Thanks, guys. Now, look, Steph's got a question. Stefan's got a question. He's got to run to another call, so I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, how you going? Just a quick one. I just got my latest autosaver placed, but what I did, I selected the shipping bundle. I got a question about like coin drops and stuff like that. If you do coin drops in the 90 days, can you add that to your shipping bundle is my question.
No. Oh,
do you know what I mean?
No,
like you got 90
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. Haley, are you still on here?
Yeah, sorry, I was
Can you answer that question for Steph? Because I'm a little bit unsure.
Yeah, so I bundle mine. And yes, when you get coin drops, so your first order, you pay normal shipping.
Yep.
And then every other order that you bundle after that, you only pay like $3.99.
Okay, so including coin drops?
Including coin drops, yes.
Fantastic.
Correct.
Fantastic.
And then you can go in and release it at any time within the 90 days.
No, that's good. That's a good thing to know, because I just bundled it, and I was thinking today when I just saw the Stackers coin drop in 19 hours. Yeah. Can we ask them to do these coin drops at a better time?
Yes, I've already been on that, Steph. I've already been on that.
Right.
We're working on driving that into the market, obviously.
What I don't understand is they do it at that time, but if they did it in evening US, it would work for everyone pretty much anyway. Apart from UK would probably be late in the night, but not in the morning. It'd be like 11 o'clock at night or something. But it just I don't know.
I'm working with Blake at the moment to work out the best time. It's about fitting it not just to the US, but to every market around the world.
Everyone, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously there's 8 countries. So they're just figuring out.
Even if it was 6 a.m., it would be better, or even 5 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just trying to like keep everybody kind of happy.
Of course. Yeah.
But I said to him, what we could do as a solution, obviously, put the thinking hat on, would be to, just fluctuate the times. So have one that works for one that works for globally, and maybe one that suits the US a bit better. Obviously the market is biggest in the US, so they kind of have a bit more pull.
No, let's get the US up early. We'll get them up early.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking is they do it at like 1 or 2 p.m. in their day, right?
Middle of the day.
The thing is, people are working, so coin drops don't work for a work day. So if you do it at 5 o'clock in the afternoon EST, or 6, or even 7 or 8 EST, the people who are in the US get up out of work. They're already out of work. They're ready to go, and then we're ready to go because we're just getting up. UK probably is going to be like that midnight ish, but you know, it's probably not as bad as a 3 a.m. or something, you know what I mean? So I think there's definitely a time in there that works for the markets we have open, which is what really is the most important thing. So it needs to be done because, you know, obviously
Yeah,
not.
totally. We need to work together, pull our heads together to look at what's going to be the best time. Then I can push that that information back to Blake, and we can try to organise some times that are going to work from a
Okay.
global standpoint.
Thanks
All good.
thanks Haley for answering that one. I've got to head off, so I'll chat to you all soon. Thanks.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm excited. I've got that Titanic coin bundled and I haven't looked at it this week, but someone brought to my attention that they only released that a week or two ago and it's already in equity $60 and I haven't even received it because it's in my bundle.
I got it the other day, Haley. It is gorgeous. You will love it when you get there. Not only have you got equity, but you also will look at it and you says, I'm not parting with this.
No way. I know I need to release that
Yes,
bundle
Steph.
and get it in my hands.
All right. What do we got, Sammy?
Amazing. So I've got a question here. Actually, a question that I got it's not here, but someone asked, and you kind of answered it before, Cole. But again, sometimes it's the little questions that block people. So I want to address all of those. And someone asked me why 7K wastes so much plastic by putting their coins in plastic. And that's what I just wanted to share briefly. And that's, these are these MS70 coins that are encapsulated. They're in mint condition. They're, such high quality coins. Of course, the Silver Eagles, that you can get them in a little tumbler. They're not, they're not mint condition. But that's what we do in this collectible space is that we do get encapsulated coins. So they are in plastic, but they're in plastic for a reason, and it's because they're such high quality and yeah. So
I'll add to that as well.
Yeah.
Add to that as well. I remember when I first started and somebody said to me, well, can you open it? And I said, I don't want to open it. We open it up. It's perfect condition. We open up, it might get scratched. So like people think that they don't actually understand the value, right? The true value of something that's collectible and actually untouched. So this is what I mean about stringent process. This is no fluff. They're not cutting corners, these are perfect conditions, and they're graded perfect condition. So
with what you've just added there, you've just touched on briefly the untouched. None of those graded coins that are encapsulated have been touched by human hands.
there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say that, say no, it stays in that container. That is the value of it. Not only is it in perfect quality and perfect mint, it is untouched. So you now have given it the credibility of the quality of the coin. I had one guy that tried to open the coin. I says, don't even think about it or I'll chop your fingers off. And he looked at me in sheer shock. And he says, why? I says, because that'll cost you $2,000 for that coin if you crack it open.
Wow.
Mind you, it wasn't $2,000 worth, but that was enough to put the fear of God in him that he just didn't want to crack it open.
He'll never open a coin again. Bethany asked a question a while ago, and she said, in terms of like, how would you share 7K? Would you share, a complete newbie? Would you introduce them to the current state of the global economy and silver and gold before you introduce them to 7K without wanting to overwhelm people? I mean, I know how I introduced it to people. Cole, how do you share with people with finding that line between enough information and not overwhelming people?
Oh, geez, this is using a lot of my brain power. Look, I mean, 7K is a very simple business model. It's everybody needs 7K. It's just a matter of actually showing them the reasons why. There's a lot of how-tos and what to do's, but the facts are really that when we look at the problems around the world, and this is where I really focus in on the problems, is because say this scenario, let's use a scenario. So people ask me all the time, well, I say, well, what you're doing now, is it working? No. So how about we change it, right? So these are the things, right? People come to you, they might ask about gold and silver. So if they're doing it already, amazing. I don't say you're doing it wrong. I say amazing, because most people are, this is the secrets of the wealthy. what you're doing, a lot of people don't.
Mm.
Okay, top 3%. You're doing things that people don't do, and they'll never do because it's not ingrained in us to do it. So this is a big shift. This is a big mindset shift for a lot of people. Actually teaching and educating. That's our job. Our job is to teach education, hold the space for people to allow them to actually understand that, you know, what we're doing is going to be valuable for them and their family in the future. Okay. So basically how I sum it up, and when I talk about 7K, and if I was to break it down in one sentence, and I said it earlier on in this call, I don't know if it was recorded or not. All right. 7K is a smart, long-term wealth accumulation strategy. Now, if you need to write that down, write that down. And I've had a lot of people write it down over the last couple of months. Smart, long-term wealth accumulation strategy. Our goal here is to help you get wealthy slowly, okay, by automating the process. Now, I guess that's kind of a sales pitch in itself, but anyway, it's more helping you understand, okay, the selling proposition of this. It's really, really simple. All we're doing is helping people switch their habits, okay, from bad to good, okay, and then we help them compound it, that compounding effect, okay. And if anybody understands, you know, society and what's happening right now, there's a lot of bad habits that are going on. Time to kick them out, okay. We teach financial literacy, okay, by plugging people in, okay. We don't give advice, okay, by plugging people in to the education that's already there, okay. Then you make your decision what you want to do moving forward.
Thanks, Cole. And I think that's a good point. And I've got a couple more questions we're going to ask, and then we'll honor people's time. We might take another 10, 15 minutes or so, and then we'll finish up the call. But I just want to add to that as well. And something that we haven't touched on is the fact that 7K does have an affiliate structure to it. And so as a result of that, you know, what we end up doing is actually building teams. And what teams do is we actually help each other. So we end up building teams, we end up building communities within 7K. And so for me, that's been one of the most valuable parts of it, is one, you know, being able to build, you know, income by sharing, you know, something that I'm so passionate about and something that helps people and serves people, but being able to leverage everybody else's knowledge. You know, if you're buying from the Mint, or you're, you know, trying to do your own sort of financial education, you don't have a community of people who are all learning together that you can plug into and can help each other. So in a really simple way, you know, even just our you know, team here in Australia and New Zealand, you know, we've got a Facebook group. It's an easy way to plug people in, to get them starting to be educated in this. If you're, you know, if you haven't joined 7K and you're on this call and you're just a newbie, you're probably in the Sound Money Secrets Facebook group. Go to the guides, have a look. There's some great information there. There's a lot of Vimeos from 7K Corporate. There's lots of information about, you know, the current state of the world economy, where you can just start that slow education, start digesting what's happening in the world and learning this stuff. And it takes a while to start learning it if you're really new to it, but you can just start learning. If you're already in 7K and you're kind of, you know, tentatively wondering how you can start sharing this without overwhelming people, plug them into our calls, plug them into our community, plug them into the Facebook group, where they can just start to see, you know, we share a lot of things about what's happening in the economy. There's a lot of great information there. I love Facebook groups and guides. That's like my thing, because, you know, I'm busy during the day. I'm a mum, I run my business and things like that. But at night time, I can lie in there with my headphones and, you know, watch some videos or watch some webinars. So people learn at their own time in their own space. And that's a really helpful thing to do as well. So part of having our community is that we've got a community of information that we're sharing and growing together. And I think that's often overlooked as one of the main benefits that we have by creating this community here. And certainly these guys are doing an amazing job at creating community and you know, keeping us together and keeping us all, you know, growing and building together.
Yeah,
so I wanted
totally.
to that, but I just wanted to thank you. I'm glad that's helpful. I want to just probably there's 2 more questions I think we'll answer, and then I think we'll probably finish up for today. But if this has been helpful, like I would be open, I think Cole and I mentioned we might do this fortnightly for new people and for you guys. You know, everyone just come in. there's a lot of questions, and the questions keep coming. I think the deeper you dive, the more questions you have, right? You never stop learning. So let's continue with this, and let's all learn together and help, educate people together.
I think, yeah, just to add to that as well, I totally agree. The biggest thing is, even if you're not bringing people to these Q&As, this is a knowledge hub. This is for you to get better. I always talk to people about, bettering yourself, bettering your communication skills. Like the only difference between, myself and you guys on this call is just I'm a little bit further down the pathway than you are. I just have a little bit more knowledge because, I've spent a bit more time in the business. I've been exposed to a bit more. It's not that like I'm a better, I'm not sitting up here on my, tall poppy syndrome or anything like that. Like I just have a little bit more knowledge because I've been here for a little bit longer. Okay. But we want to fast track that process for you guys. And this is part of it. This is the knowledge hub. And as Sammy was saying before, there's power in leverage. Okay. So you might have people that have questions about 7K that you can't answer. Let us do the heavy lifting for you. Okay. You don't need to know everything, but you can link them into somebody that does know, that has the knowledge already. As they say, there's power in leveraging other people's skills and other people's knowledge till you have those skills or knowledge yourself, if that makes sense.
Beautiful. And we've been blessed to be able to hop on calls with corporate as well. I mean, there's not many companies where you can speak directly to corporate on, intimate calls with 10 people and things like that. So, we're very blessed to be able to have these connections and to really leverage them as well. I've got a question about the vaults. Now, Andrea's asked this, and I'm wondering, Andrea, if you're referring to the Sound Money wallet. But the question, Cole, is what about keeping your coins in their vault? Can we Aussies do in their vault? I'm assuming 7K's vault. Can we Aussies do that?
No.
You have an option when purchasing coins. So your numismatics, no. Your autosavers, no.
No.
But the Sound Money wallet is a
Sound Money wallet. Sound Money wallet is a vault, and it's a private vault. Okay, and to touch more on that as well is it's basically, let's just say, government untouchable. Okay, so the asset that you have in there, okay, is private. It's yours. Okay, it's allocated to you. So it's not so connected to some government, and it's not. I don't even think it's reported. Okay,
No.
now it just sits in there, right? This is why we call it an insurance policy and a hedge, because it sits in there, right, and it becomes something that protects you if something happens in your life. And obviously we know you're keeping your money in the bank. You're treading on thin ice right now. Just take a look around you. I don't need to share that information on here. Do some research, and you'll get the answers that that I'm not going to share on here. All right, cool.
But to answer that, your autosaver, your monthly coin, which is not compulsory to have an autosaver, although it really is the backbone of why you would join 7K, is that monthly coin that needs to be delivered to an address in an open country each month. But your Sound Money wallet is a digital vault. It's your own private vault, so you can have your own money in silver and gold in your Sound Money wallet, which everyone has access to as well.
The more I think about it, the more I think about the autosaver, the more I think it's a total no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
The more I think about it. Now think about it this way. You get access to a business, right? And your overheads for the business is you're getting assets. Now to me that makes complete sense. To a lot of people, they're like, well, it's not an expense. This is not an expense. If you think this is an expense, okay, take your head out of the sand, because it's not an expense. This, okay, you're investing in an asset, right? But you're also opening a business center, okay? And keeping the overheads of that business center is to buy more assets. It's just a win-win. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer in my eyes.
Can I also add, is I've been doing some research in private vaults here in Australia because, you know, as we go along with the AutoSaver program, we're trying to figure out where are we going to save all these coins? What happens if someone breaks into our house? You know, how do we secure them? Well, there are private vaults here in Australia where you can put your AutoSaver coins in. There's different size boxes that they have, and they're out of reach of the normal banking laws and so forth. I read this last night, as a matter of fact. So I'd recommend do your own homework, talk to your accountant, and make sure you have a good accountant to talk to, because that is an expense for your business. Renting a vault to put your coins in, that is an expense for your business, right? So look at those aspects, because as you've seen probably on some of the 7K Facebook pages, all the different ones out there, there's people that have got hundreds and hundreds of coins. Where do you secure it? What happens if your house burns down and you've got the coins just sitting in your little corner somewhere in a shoebox or a few shoeboxes? Well, it's the melting point of silver and gold type thing, you know, and copper.
Yeah,
So
totally.
you've got those other aspects to look at, and you need to make sure that you've got your assets secure here in Australia. We don't, and the coins in the gold and silver in the Sound Money wallet is it is secure and it is available to us, but also be aware, the moment you start pulling things out of the Sound Money wallet, that's in excess of $1,000 Australian coming through customs, you will get a 30% charge by customs, 18% for the stamp duty, the income duty, or whatever they call it, and then you will have 10% of GST. There's 28%. I always round it up to 30. It's much easier to calculate in tens than what it is in other increments. So that is what you'll have to pay to get it in. So if you're doing that, you've got to figure out all these things, and also those type of aspects that you pay to customs. That's part of doing business. So that is a expense that you can write off.
I'll tell you the biggest expense is not protecting yourself. That'll be your biggest expense.
Definitely.
So this is how I look at things, and it's bang on what Anna's saying. So, you know, customs, another question I get, how do I get my silver back to me? Sound Money wallet, can I have it delivered? Yes, you can. Okay, you can have it physically delivered. Okay, you can go and you can buy 10, or it has to be an ounce, obviously, but say you bought 1 ounce of silver, okay, which generally when people join, we actually send them 1 ounce of silver. We've been doing that for a while now. If you're a new member, you would have experienced that, and we just want to expose you to the power of the Sound Money wallet and the technology. But yes, you can have it delivered to you. Now, what Anna's saying is, if you go over that $1,000 threshold, okay, that's when they're gonna get you. Okay, so if you keep it, you know, just what I say is like the key is to get wealthy slowly. Also, get your assets delivered slowly. I've got in Perth, for example, I've got, you know, a whole you know, vault, not vault, a whole what do we call it? Jeez, I've had a brain.
Safe.
Yeah, a whole safe, a whole safe, okay, full of silver collectible assets sitting in Perth, and I'm like, I'm just gonna like nut this out and figure out the best way to get it back here, or if I want to get it back here, I might just leave it there, because yeah, in the long term, why I do this is not for me. This is for my kids, my future kids that I'm going to have. I know I'm going to have two kids. I've already manifested it. But it's for my kids, right? Or for my nieces or my nephews. It's not for me. So that when I leave this earth, we have something to pass on, not debt. Okay, it's been ingrained in us to pass on, you know, housing debt and all this sort of stuff. We're passing on assets. Now let that sink in, because that's changing the way things are done.
I think that's a pretty powerful way to end this call. Thank you.
Fire, fire, fire.
I got a quick question. The question I've got is all these lovely recorded calls that you do, Cole, where are they and how do we access them so that for the people who work during the day that can't make it to these calls, that they
Well,
can listen to them?
sometimes, Anna, I don't record them.
Cheeky devil.
Sometimes I say if you show up, right, the people that show up are the people that get paid, right? So sometimes I don't record them, sometimes I do. This one was recorded actually, and there's been some knowledge bombs dropped in here. And again, guys, I totally value all of your contribution to these calls. These Q&As aren't about me and Sammy, right? These are open Q&As, okay? And what we're doing is it's the facilitation of helping someone understand this business model better, okay? Because it took me 8 months to understand this business model. And as we know, time is our finest commodity, okay? So who we spend it with is key, okay? What we spend it on is key because it's something that you can never get back. So have a think about that, okay? If we want to finish this on a powerful note, okay, I'm going powerful here. Hey, Sammy.
Bringing it.
But guys, just remember, just take yourself out of the scenario and just think about, what you're leaving your kids. Just have a think about that. Just let that sit, okay? Because if you're not getting started today and you're pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back, you're putting off the potential wealth that your kids could have. Okay, you need to think about that. Take yourself out of the scenario. Stop being so selfish. Okay, and think about what you're leaving for your children. It's important. It's important. And I don't even have any children. And I'm saying this, you know what I mean?
I agree. Thank you. But I'm also going to answer Anna's question. We will put the recordings of these calls in the Sound Money Secrets Facebook group and also the Sound Money Secrets Builders Facebook group, which is for members. I like to also place recordings of calls in the events because once I've created an event for these groups in those groups, but those events kind of just stay there as past events. So you can always find this particular event, go into it, and we'll place the recording in there as well. So that's probably the easiest way to catalog those calls and to find them in the future. But yes, we'll do that.
This will be a guide that we'll add into the group. Okay, so it'll be under a specific guide. We've already added one in. I know that Ryan did this. Thanks, Ryan. He added a guide into the group where all the presentations are going to land.
Good idea.
Okay, every presentation. So don't come and ask me, Cole, where's the presentation? They're all under that same guide. Okay, and same as these Q&As. They're going to have our own guide. The Q&As that we do on a fortnightly basis.
Amazing.
Okay? Don't be scared to show up to these Q&As, guys, because some of the questions you ask me, it helps me learn, right? Helps me learn, helps me be, mold my craft and become better at answering the questions that come to me, and I've had most of them, but not all of them yet. So I mean, we'll finish on that note. I think that's all for the questions today. Holy hell, geez, there's 41 chats in the chat. I haven't even opened it. Oh, far out.
I'm on to it. I've got you. All right, guys, thank you so much for this. Thank you, Cole. Thank you, Hayley. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for your input as well. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your questions. Yeah, we'll do this as a regular thing. We'll keep you updated, but please bring your questions. Let's keep learning together. Let's keep creating a really strong community and bring more amazing people into this amazing community. So this is where the momentum really begins. So wonderful things
Awesome,
ahead.
guys. And remember, get back to the person that brought you here.
Absolutely.
Okay, if you're going to get started, okay.
Yeah. So if you're one of those people on the fence and now you're ready to go, please, the next step is get back to the person who invited you. They'll take you through the next steps. They'll get you started and then they'll plug you into all of this amazing content and support that we've got here as a community. So excited to see you all. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll do this again.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Cheers,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody.